So we've looked at events now and how to react to those events, but there's one thing I've not really shown you, and that's event and key modifiers. Now, event modifiers do pretty much what they say on the tin. They modify how we listen and then react to events. And there's many different types of modifiers, and we'll be using several of them throughout this course, but what I'll do is just show you 2 or 3 of them now. So imagine first of all we have a button, and when we click this button, we want to fire an event called log message or something like that. Well, first of all, let's add on that click event. So it's at first of all, then click is the type of event. Then we'll set this equal to a function called log message. Now we need to create this log message function over here. So log message, and then inside something very simple, console.log, and then hello world. Okay, so let's just test this first of all. We're going to inspect the elements so we can see the console, and then if we click on the button, we see hello world. So this works. Cool. So like I said, event modifiers modify the way an event is listened to. So the way we add a modifier on is by doing a dot after the event and then whatever the modifier is. Now there's one called alt, which means only listen to this click event if the alt key is pressed. So we're modifying how we listen to this click event now. So if I was to save this, refresh and click it, then nothing happens. We don't get that message logged to the console. But if I keep hold of alt and then click it, now we get this message. All right. So we're modifying how we listen to this click event right here by saying we only want to listen to it when the alt key is pressed. So let's just put there alt click me so we know. Then I'm going to take this button, copy it and paste it down below, and I'll change this to shift. So if I say shift click me, what do you think this will do? Well, you're probably right. It's only going to react to this click event when the shift key is held down. So if I normally click it, nothing happens. If I hold shift and click it, then we do get this. Okay, so that's pretty cool. You can react differently depending on what button the user is pressing down when they click on a certain item, if you like. Okay, so I'd like to also show you a different kind of modifier. Now, these were both key modifiers. I'd like to show you a kind of pure event modifier. So to do this, let's create first of all an anchor tag, and let's give the href http://www.google.com. So inside here, we'll just put Google or something like that. All right, so now I also want to attach this click event to this anchor tag right here. So let's copy this and paste it in. I'll take off the shift modifier because I don't want that modifier associated with this click event. I just want to click this anchor tag and it log the message. So what do you think will happen? Well, let's save it and then let's try it. Okay, so we saw that message logged to the console, but then it takes us to Google. Now, I don't want that to happen. What I'd like is just for the message to be logged to the console, and then we stay on this page. Now, that's tricky because the default behavior of a link of an anchor tag is to take a user to a different page, right? Whatever the href attribute is. So how do we circumnavigate this? Well, again, in Vue, it's pretty simple because we just add on an event modifier to do that. And this one is called prevent. And what this does is take that event and prevent the default action of that event. Now, the default action of clicking on a link is to take you to another website or another web page. Now, what we're saying here is when we click it, we want to take that event and prevent that default event action. So let's save this and view it in a browser. Now, if I click on this, we get the message, but you'll notice we don't get transferred to google.com. So that's cool. We're preventing that default action using an event modifier. And this is a modifier that we'll be using as we go forward and work with forms, so that when a user clicks submit, we prevent the default action and we handle that submit event ourselves in our way. Okay? So there are a lot of different event modifiers or key modifiers. There's a full list on the Vue.js documentation. So what I'll do is attach this link right here to this lesson so you can go off and check them out yourself. But just at a glance, you can see we have these ones: stop, prevent, capture, self, once. We also have key modifiers, enter tab, etc. All these ones. plus some system key modifiers, which I showed you as well, Shift, Alt, Control, etc. So there's a lot of different modifiers you can play with, and I would highly suggest playing around with them just to get your head around the whole idea.